Hello everyone, and welcome to Plugin of the Week, Point Blank weekly broadcast live from the Hub in our school in London. So those of you who have already seen our series and a different episode, every week we look at plugins that we like. So this week we decided to look at a plugin that came out, I think, in July, and it's from SampleMagic, and the plugin is called Stacker. And it's a really quite interesting plugin with a lot of really different function, really interesting function, very quite easy to use as well. So I literally got it yesterday, and yeah, just playing with it a little bit very quickly, watched a few tutorials on the website from SampleMagic, and I was up and running, really. It has lots of great different features. So I've put together very quickly a kind of a short piece of music demo kind of style. So let's have a listen first, and then we'll break it down and we'll start looking at some of the features of Stacker. So it's got a bass, a hat, kick, snare, a hat loop, which is an Apple loop, a bass, a keyboard, and a synth. And the bass and keyboard, as you can see, have been stacked together within Logic, which also has this track stack, which means layering. And it's all compressed and a sidechain to the kick, as you can hear, to get that feel. So let's start looking at Stacker. So Stacker, as its name implies, it's about stacking sounds together. And the way it works is you can layer up to 4 sounds in Stacker. You can have up to 3 samplers, and you've got 1, 2, 3, all independent, totally independent sampler with their own envelopes and modulation and etc. And then it has a synth. So I'd like to focus on the synth at the moment. Let's see if we have a sound coming out of here. Let's play it. Yeah. So we've got a kick here playing. What I'm gonna do is reset it, and now we should have only that playing. And you can even go further. I need to reset that one as well. Okay, so what I love about it is that basically, you may have guessed it, it's really easy to layer sample alongside a synth, more kind of analog type of synth, which is great for analog type of sounds, drum sound, kick, snare, hat. And typically you've got a snare, triangle or square. So if you listen here, so straight away, just playing with the oscillator, you already have a lot of choices of sound just to start with. And then it has a function like click, drive, and tune. Sorry. So a bit of click you can add, works really nicely, and a bit of drive. So you can start to get some really powerful kick drums very quickly. One of the things as well is tuning. Might be a little bit high for a kick. So one thing we should look at are the envelopes. That for me is one of the really strengths of the plugin of Stacker. If you look here, you've got a typical envelope at the moment. It has 3 points. However, the beauty of this plugin is it can have up to 8 points. And if you look at what you can do with envelope, it may remind you a little bit of something from native instrument like Absinthe, where you could literally draw those kind of envelopes, and you can do that. So if I wanted to, create something like that, you see it's following the envelope. Obviously, not quite what you would want for a kick, but just to show you what you can do very quickly here. Typical, very simple envelope from high to low. But you can do more stuff. Let's do that. And let's say if we wanted a bit more of the body, your typical 808, really nice. What is really lovely about it as well is that you can change the curve of the between each point. So have a look. So here, for example, we could start with having the resonance here, but then have a tail more like this. So you really can, what it shows is how much detail, how much you can shape your sound, and the envelope is an essential part of it, as we all know. So I'm going to put that, just do that for now. And also what you can change is the time. So you see this envelope here is along a timeline, and you can affect shorter or longer. So that allows you to change not only you're changing the shape of the envelope, but also the period of time that your sound is evolving over. And here we've got a warp as well, and you can see it's changing the number of the back. So that also will affect how the envelope is affecting the sound. So really cool. So I'm going for this one here. Now, as you can see, you've got a filter, an envelope here for the pitch. I'm gonna, pardon me, reset it. Obviously, that's a bit, let's turn that, sorry. Because the envelope is a bit too long, so let me bring it back here. And look at the pitch here. So you can change your pitch here. But then what's interesting, typically, the typical 909, for example, is being done that way with a pitch that goes down. So you can put it further. And just to demonstrate how this envelope working. Straight away, that's your typical 909. But obviously a bit shorter. So let's put it here, and then let's play with those numbers. You see, because now the time is way longer. So that represents a far longer period of time. But then if I bring it here, so you see you can do that. But then if I bring the envelope shorter, no, doesn't really have the time to bring it down. And the warp is the same. You're bringing those. You hear the difference. So you can hear straight away how quickly you can build a sound just with analog. And then further to that, it has a noise, which is really cool as well. So here I've got the noise. It's got a color, and I've got to say I love it when it's starting to get gritty like that. And you could literally bring a little bit of that noise. You can have a width to it, and then it has a filter. But let's bring it back here, because what it can do as well is you've got an envelope for this noise. And as you can see, the envelope here works in rate and in bars. So for example, if I had it for 1 bar, my envelope goes from 1 bar. But again, this envelope works in exactly the same way as all the other envelopes, so you can have up to 8 points. But straight away, if I do that and I reverse my envelope, you're going to have that kind of sidechain reverb kind of thing. And straight away, just done within the plugin. So it's pretty cool. And obviously, it takes a while to die down because it's a really long envelope that I've put. And at some stage, yeah, so because the envelope has changed. So you see the ID. It's pretty cool. On top of it, you have a lot of different things that you can do. So some of the other functions, for example, you can modulate. So you see here, you've got a matrix modulation. And like any modulation, you need a source, a destination, and an amount of what is going on. And you can automate pretty much anything. Now, we've looked only at those two, only the synth and those two sections, the amp and the pitch. Now, and it has filters. Filters are available across for each sound as well, a low and a high with a resonance, or you can choose whether it's a 12 dB or up to 48. And then you've got effects. And effects have some really cool stuff as well. Let's redo the pitch a little bit here. Let's bring it down. Yeah, that will do for now. So effects, and you've got a digitize. Digitize is kind of like, you can reduce the bit and sample rate. So think MPC, think, early sampler, 30K, 12 bit, etc. So straight away you're going to bring a bit of that. But if you don't want too much of it, obviously you got to wet and dry. You can just bring a little bit of that and maybe reduce a bit of sample rate, add a bit of noise. So you've got digitize, you've got clip filter with different type of drives. I mean, pretty awesome. Okay, we can bring that just a little bit down, and you've got lots of different type of drives. You've got tube, sine, rec. As you can imagine, rec is going to be pretty ruthless. So that just gives you an overview very quickly of how much you can do, just all within one surface. You know, one instance of the plugin, and you can sort out all your literally your kick with one plugin instead of having to go through different plugins, especially if you want to layer, and that is the big part of it. So let's say, for example, it's got also a flanger with positive, negative, mode shift and pitch, phase shifting and pitch shifter and a ring modulator. It's got EQ on every sound as well. On top of it, it has a delay, so you can assign a delay here. What you can do is really quite double click to get rid of a point. You see the delay is going because it's pumping now. You've got sync to time to the host, triplet and dot, echo or repeat. You even have width, depth, EQ and filters just for the delay. And you've got a reverb as well, which is there. So if you wanted reverb. And the reverb, the beauty of it is you can load impulses. So if you go there, it has all those impulses reverb that you can load. So I mean, pretty amazing, really. And again, the reverb has its own envelope. So I take it we could pump it like that. Let's try that. So. I mean, you just see the beginning of how much you can do with that plugin. It's just incredible. So I'm going to get rid of this instance now, and I'm going to show you quickly what we've done with this track. So I'll delete that track. So here. So that's the kick, all done with Stacker. I've done just a little bit of EQ, very little at 30. And a compressor because I wanted to tighten up the sound afterwards. But maybe I'll bypass it for you too. So that's the difference. But I'll take it off for now. So what we've done to the kick. Let's have a listen. So we start. I've got a low sine waves, just to get the bottom end, to get the weight of it. And what I wanted is I really wanted a heavy kick drum, but with a kind of acoustic, quite disco-y, that type of kick drum. So I didn't want to go too electronic-y, but I wanted the weight, certainly. So I've got this kick here, which is an acoustic kick. It comes from the library. You can flick through the sound, the library sound here. One important thing to note, you can drag and drop a sample straight onto the window here, so you can load your own samples. So that's pretty cool too. So here we've got the first kick. Thank you. So I'm gonna. So here's the first kick, and let's look at what we've done. I mean, you can see as well, you can do left and right, right, left, have it mono. You can change the phase. I mean, all very useful features if you're going to start layering sound. I mean, one of the big issues when you layer sound is phase relationship between the different sounds. What I've done here, I mean, here you've got velocity, so that means it responds to velocity instead of fixed velocity. Here I've got an amp. So you see I've shaped it in that way because I wanted it to be, if we remove the envelope, you see it's quite live. So I wanted to get rid of a bit of the ambience. Pardon me, I'm gonna get some water. So here we've got interesting features like the stereo width. It's literally a mid side. So here I'm increasing the side, getting more stereo, but it has this great feature which also can mono up to a certain frequency. So here I'm monoing anything below up to 170 Hertz. If I take that away, you see the kick is already quite different. Also, you've got a sample delay if you want to shift one side to make it wider, but obviously for that sound it didn't apply. So you can tune, fine-tune, pan, and again you've got all the different. I've done a little pitch on it, as you can see. I go from 0 to 0 minus 9. So that's what I've done to the first kick. And then I brought this sub kick. That's the weight. So I click on it. You see I've done a little bit of pitch here from E1 to B0. Not a big jump. I've shaped it here as well. And then let's see what I have. Yeah, I've got a bit of a digitize here, a little bit of a reduction in the sample rate, a little bit of EQ to it. And then we've got the third kick here, which is kind of more dirty. And as you see, I've got digitize, I've got here EQ, I've got the clip filter, a bit of drive, just to bring a bit of noise. And the three together, that's what it gives you. Pretty solid, fat kick. Also, very interesting features is the scatter feature. What it allows you is to shift each individual sample against each other. So here it's the beginning of the trigger, but you can shift them in different ways. You can shift them in terms of BPM, and you see here you hear the fourth layers, the synth being played later, because that's how I've moved it. But I've moved it in time, and the reason I moved it is, again, you can change the range, you can change the grid definition, so you've got more visual indication what you're doing. And the idea is that you can shift the sound again. So if I shift this one back here, it sounds quite different phase relationship, and I felt that the sweet spot was a bit more like here. And that to me was feeling kind of fuller and less phase issue. So you can align all those sounds to phase align, so it's brilliant, you know. So, and in the track, so that's for the kick. And now let's look at the snare, and similar idea on the snare. I've got one snare, fairly click, gives you a bit of top end, a little bit of attack, but I felt it needed a bit more body, so I've added the second snare here. So together, they work quite well. And then I wanted a clap, and a kind of a lazy clap, kind of not a big clap, but I just wanted to personalize the snare a little bit. And if you look on the scatter, the clap has been delayed a little bit. So that gives you the kind of lazy clap. And you could have 2, 3 scattered in a way that you really get that kind of a, you know, really, really lazy, falling apart kind of clap sound that really works on many production style. Here again, I've used some of the effects, the clip filter, the digitizer on this one. The envelope, there's no envelope, I'm just playing it straight as a one-shot sample. Let's look here. Here, I've moved the start point, and you can move start, end point, and it even has a loop point. So if you want it, that's your loop point. And the beauty of it is that can be modulated. So you could assign a macro to that. So let's say macro 1. Let's choose a macro. Let's choose macro 1 for that one. Macro 1, and I'm pretty sure we can go sample 2 loop. Okay. Loop. it's going to be bipolar, and I probably have to put some depth. Let's see if that's going to work. Oh, I'm pretty sure that should work. Sample to loop. Macro 1. Ah, it's because I've got to put it on here. So, you know, you can automate all that kind of stuff. So, again, lots of modulation possible. As far as modulation goes, you can also see that you've got mod 1, mod 2, mod 3, mod 4, all of them with envelope as well, 8-point envelope. They can be assigned to any parameters. So, you know, your typical filter envelope, but way beyond that. Create your own LFO, your own movement. Just a lot of really, really crazy stuff. Again, each envelopes, whether they're part of modulation, amp, or pitch, come with all those envelopes here. So you see you've got a menu of envelopes. You can save your own envelope, you can load them, you can reset them. I mean, it's, you know, endless, really, really endless features. So finally on this snare, so I've got this snare here, and as you can see, I've moved the starts because there was a bit of a flap between both sample 1 and 2, so I wanted them to be really tight together. And then I wanted to add that noise. And the noise, again, is from the synth, and you've got that noise here. And again, if I wanted, you know, very easily I could. And then I'm going to go there. Look, just with the pumping effect on the reverb. And remember, I can even change the grid of the rate, so you can shape your envelope. I mean, you can create some really, really quite interesting movement so quickly. And the high and the low, I mean, it's... So just a simple noise, you know, it's a trick that you do often. You need a bit of top end, something that to cut through. You add that to, that's the one with the body. This one gives you a little bit more of the snare. Here we are. And that's the snare. Again, you know, I think the beauty of building your sound like that is you can shape them so quickly, and you can load the sample within the library. It comes with like 1,000 presets just to start with. So, I mean, there's plenty. You can shape your sound in such a way that as soon as you start changing even just one sample, even if you use a preset and you change one sample, straight away your sound is going to become a lot more unique. And I think that's what we should all strive to do. So, you know, your production don't sound like sample library, sample pack, like, you know, many people. It's easy to use those, you know, you just drop it and that's it, it's done. So I would really strongly encourage you to have that. The 909 I've done also quickly with Stacker as well. I ended up using a 909 hat, but I've also had it, and I think I must have tweaked it a little bit, I'm sure. Velocity, let's see what it does. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a pitch. If you hear it carefully, you hear a little bit at the end of the tail of it. I thought it would be interesting to have. Effects, just a bit of EQ really, a bit of top, a little bit of a bottom end. And then I've added a bit of noise to it. Just to give it a bit more identity, I guess. So that is only done with Stacker. I've got a loop of live hi-hat because I wanted to get a bit of life into it as well. I could have programmed more with Stacker, but I really wanted that kind of live and then the rest of the music. So that's us for today. And thank you very much for watching Plugin of the Week. It's Friday, so have a great Friday and a great weekend. We've got tour going on at Point Blank every Saturday and Wednesday, so tomorrow there will be a tour. So if you want to book and come and have a look, give us a call or contact us on the form, and we'll arrange for that. Thank you very much. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.